podcast of Tibetan KungFu, 21 Reasons Why You Should Meditate. My name is Sifu T.W. Smith, and I appreciate you including us as part of your day. At Tibetan KungFu, I remind myself that I'm practiced to be a better person first, and a better martial artist second. The title of this podcast is 21 Reasons Why You Should Meditate. I think I'm actually going to give you more than that, but before we do that, let me let you know that right off the bat, I'm going to give you 15 reasons why you shouldn't meditate. Then we're going to talk about the reasons why you should. Then what happens when you meditate. And I'm not going to get into the whole metaphysical thing. We're not going to be talking rainbows and clouds. We're going to be talking about sciences, neurology, pathophysiology, things along those lines, biochemistry. Then how, if you chose to meditate, would you go about it? Moving on into the meat of the program, right into it. I got a little note, I sent a note out, got one back from Mr. Dan Harris. Didn't know a lot about Mr. Harris because I don't watch that much TV. But I happened to run across his name in an article that intrigued me. It's called Taming of the Mind. I read into it at samharris.org. Gentleman has a blog there. Very cool guy. And I also wrote with him. He also gave me permission to share all this. Mr. Dan Harris is the co-anchor of Nightline and the weekend edition of Good Morning America on ABC News. He's the author of a book called 10% Happier, How I Tamed the Voice in My Head. Our affiliate link there is in our PDF file. It's also going to be on the website if y'all are interested in shopping for it. He states here that he was very leery of all meditative components. He comes from a family of physicians and scientists. Then he says, quote, "The thing that got me to open my mind was hearing about all the sciences." He describes his first experience. He said it was like walking into a zoo. And I'll read from you one little paragraph here. It says, "What's interesting is that so many people reflexively reject this," speaking about meditation, "just as I would have 5 or 6 years ago, because of their misconceptions about meditation. I think there are 2 reasons why people don't meditate. Either they think it's complete baloney, that involves wearing robes, lighting an incense, and subscribing to some useless metaphysical program, or they accept the fact that it might be good for them, but they assume they can't do it because their minds are too busy. I refer to this second reason as the fallacy of uniqueness. If you think that your mind is somehow busier than everyone else's, welcome to the human condition. Everyone's mind is busy. Meditation is hard for everybody." End quote. I have here a picture of the Twitter message that Mr. Harris sent me because I wrote him and said, "I got a meditation workshop coming up here and I saw your article. I'd like to use it." He just wrote me back and said, "Go for it." So I did. Here we go. Why shouldn't you meditate? This way we can all bail out soon if we need to. The first reason I always remembered, time will pass the same. The clock's going to tick either way, gang. Second, because of the poor, and I want to say extremely poor interpretation of the word. Many times in English, I hear teachers or students say that they're trying to achieve stillness. All right, here we go. You write this one down, gang. When it comes to the human mind, stillness is an impossibility. It will happen when you're dead, not one day before. The mind is like the sea. It's always going to be moving. We just don't want it to be too stormy out there. We want a steady tide, an ebb and a flow. We like something that doesn't look like a wreck out there. Another fallacy, emptiness. I remember one time being told that when it comes to meditation, so many people talk about having an empty mind. What is that? Even if you took the mind out and put in a hole, the hole's still something. So there's 3. Time will pass the same. Stillness is an impossibility. Even emptiness is something. So we can stop now. No reason to do it. Let's go on. I want to give you all the reasons why. I want to take away all the enemy forces. It can get touchy-feely when you're learning to meditate. It permeates into everything. When your mind changes, all of a sudden, everything begins to change. It can challenge who you think you are because you'll start to see reflections of other pieces. This one's absolutely true. It's kind of speaking to what Mr. Harris was just talking about. He said it could be some metaphysical something. I'm a little more layman. It could start to smell hocus-pocus. You could lose friends. Trust me, I lost several who I thought were my friends because as soon as I began to meditate, they felt I was wrong. Could make you question authority. You could develop your own mind so far that you may not be a Kool-Aid drinker anymore, and you might actually question authority. I did, and it went along with me losing friends. Some other reasons why you shouldn't meditate. It's a physical act. It might challenge the priority that you will give because now you actually have to do it, and it challenges lip service. It doesn't always necessarily feel good. Sometimes it's like homeopathic medicine. Sometimes it feels a little worse before it gets any better. I had this one up also that Mr. Harris mentioned. You will see that you are no less or no more busy than the rest of us. This one, let me send a thanks out to Gene. This one just came up right before the podcast, just yesterday. It's so easy to quit because you have to face fears. And I have one for myself personally. It's the hardest thing I was ever required to do. And I say that because when I was learning, if you didn't practice your posting, you didn't learn pieces of Kung Fu. That's just how it was. That's how it is here. So if you're interested in learning certain things here, you don't have to pay me too much extra, but you're going to pay me in sweat. Now, I've given you all the reasons why you should meditate. I've given you probably more than 15. I've given you some authorities who've even said it was a zoo. Let me tell you that I've got a couple of workshops coming up for meditation. That's right. I've got the Calm Water Mindful Meditation course, an online course that's 2 weeks long. It's a blend between being online and being connected with me to make sure that you're moving through the way that you want. All the details will be up on the website. They are not up as of yet as I'm recording this at www.tibetanKungFu.net/calmwater, but they will be. Then the other one is a 1-hour workshop, Mindful Meditation Without Theory or Religion. That's on September 23rd and October the 4th, TibetanKungFu.net/mindful. Now I'm going to give you some reasons why to meditate. As always, thank you here, Mr. Tasca, your spontaneous wit here on Saturday. And let me just quote from our resident genetic expert and philosopher consultant. He so wisely said right after lunch, meditation is better than medication. Can I get an amen? Everything I mentioned from here forth has been shown to occur, and I will point to the studies that you can validate as well as I did. I'm as skeptic as the next person, and don't believe that you should just buy into what I tell you. Dig into it. Question me. Question authority. Look inside yourself. Make sure it makes sense. I know I did. Meditation, or training of the mind, is an exercise. There's many forms of it. You have focused meditation, awareness meditation, relaxing meditation. The things I'm going to discuss here are going to have a little blend of some of the reasons why you should. It influences the limbic system, which is a complicated system in the brain. The limbic system can influence and alter virtually every metabolic process in your body. It can increase the strength and the longevity of your immune system. Training of your mind can interrupt mental and emotional cycles such as depression, anger, anxiety, and OCD, for example. Here's a good one. It improves sexual vitality by increasing endorphins, kind of like a runner's high. It boosts DHEA, which normalizes testosterone in both men and women. By normalizing it, bumps it up if it needs to go up, takes it down if it needs to go down. On my next slide, I wrote down, it changes the brain waves. EEG patterns have been shown to change from beta to alpha and theta waves during the process and after meditation. You can do this if you want, but I read through a 189-page dissertation. Here it is. The computational analysis of meditation that evaluates every aspect of EEG brainwave influence by meditation, written by Manesh Swagger, 2011, University of Texas at Austin. Great job there, Manesh. That was one long paper. Manesh lays out everything, including eliminating the altitude differences in studies of EEG studies to correlations between corticothalamic delay and spectral power. Whoa, what did you say there? That's right, using spectral analysis of brain activity. There's some great pictures in there, though, some great graphs, too. When you look through it, it points that meditation is a real changer when it comes to the brain waves. Meditation changes sleep. Objective polysomnography studies, which I used to do down in Texas, sleep studies, have demonstrated improved depth of sleep and a reduced number of awakenings. Those studies support the subjective studies that have been found over and over again that through meditation, the practitioners have a more refreshing sleep. It influences perspective. Meditation creates a foundational position, logistics. Do you know who you are, where you're trying to go? It does this by interrupting emotional cycles. It provides you time to walk through things such as your standards for yourself, the priorities that support your standards, things like when we talked about the boots on the ground in one of our previous podcasts. It helps you make decisions that are based on priorities and not just reactions out of emotions. It influences diet, fat weight. It does that by influences endorphins. Again, by interrupting emotional cycles, and I'm going to show you some studies on that a little bit later. It emphasizes physical health in the priorities. Again, not just lip service. It increases metabolic rate. Ask some of our students here. You can easily break a sweat and have a fantastic workout, and you've barely moved at all. Now, that's not anything we're going to be covering in our workshops, not in the mindfulness workshops. That's for Marshall, all right? That's a little step beyond some of the things we're talking about here. It can get intense. It improves tone because of all the soft tissue, the fascia involvement. I remember one of my favorite things is that it's 100% aerobic. You will never run short of oxygen while you're practicing meditation. It's 100% aerobic. So you'll cleanse your cells. Some personal observations, and these I have seen repeatedly over and over and in myself. A few things is that first, it helps prepare for death. That is not something that any of us are going to be able to dodge. It's helped me bond with my friends and my family, not only during the times that we're doing it, but in developing the relationships that I have with them. It's also a great time to tell great stories and to learn excellent lessons. Whether you do or you don't, you're preparing to live fully and to die well or not. We may not always know what to do, but we sure know some of the things that we shouldn't be doing. We would like to prepare ourselves well and maximize the time that we have here. Now I'm coming to the close of the 15 reasons why you shouldn't meditate and over 21 reasons why you should. It was my effort here to give you some real reasons, not just mystical or hypothetical ones, so that you can make an informed decision either way. I want you to make the most of your life and the people that are around you that are touched in a good way by your presence. Oh, just remember, this has got to be at least 23. In all the years I've been teaching and practicing, no one has ever injured themselves. They haven't tripped over their brain or anything by meditating. Usually they've only gotten stronger. Studies on meditation. There are several students here who are very experienced in other areas, and by that I mean they're not the sort of folks who are not going to question, not going to dig in there. We have biologists, geneticists, several engineers floating around here, social workers, psychologists, critical thinkers. Every branch of the military is represented over and over again. And the reason I bring that out is because I encourage them to question, to dig, to make sure it makes sense to them. Not to me, but to them. I would encourage you to do the same thing. So, to offer up first the limbic system. The limbic system is a part of your brain that has several different masses that work together, like the corpus callosum. I'm trying to say the word amygdala. I usually say amygdala, but I don't think that's right. The hippocampus, the hypothalamus, physical components of the brain that all work together to create what is called the limbic system, just like we have a circulatory system, a respiratory system, and things like that. The limbic system is responsible for your emotional and thoughtful awareness and how that awareness is translated into a physical representation into your body. Every system has a responsibility, and it works in coordination with others. The hypothalamus is a part of your limbic system that provides an emotional value to people, places, and your life experiences. An emotional value to the people, places, and our life experiences. That is an important thing. It controls the autonomic nervous system and regulates relaxation, heart rate, blood pressure, and the metabolism. The hypothalamus is responsible for producing both emotional and physiological effects when you react to any experience. This is why hair stands up on the end, your skin crawls, your heart beats faster. This is all because of the emotional value that you're associating with the experience, the thoughts, and it turns real. Your thoughts are things. There's a name in this whole process that'd be good to remember if you can. Her name is Dr. Candace Pert. She passed away a couple of years ago, June 26, 1946 through September the 12th, 2013. She was at Johns Hopkins in 1990 and discovered that thoughts are evaluated by the hypothalamus. Thoughts are turned into a matrix of neuropeptides that carry the signature of the primary emotion that's associated with the thought. What that means is that when you have thoughts, you have emotions that are associated with that thought. Whatever your feelings are that are associated with those thoughts creates a blend called a neuropeptide, literally a fluid, and that is pumped into your body immediately and in through the stream. One of the things that's very important about that is that all the trillions of cells of your body is looking for it. They have an affinity for neuropeptides. Now, as we said before, the neuropeptides are a blend. There's a formula. That is important mostly because how you think about things, whether it's positive, negative, or detached, creates a blend. Your cells get used to having that blend just like anything else that you become attached to, whether it's soda, smoking. There's a chemical reaction. Your body becomes attracted to it, used to it. It is part of the process when you think a certain way, you feel a certain way, and you become used to feeling and acting that way. Dr. Candace Pert, one smart lady. The amygdala, thank you, Scott, is integral to emotional reactions, decision-making, and emotional memories. Events that have emotional imprints are embedded here in the amygdala. Fear and sadnesses rise from this area primarily. Now in the PDF file, you'll see a sketch of the brain, and one of the things that's important to remember is that the limbic system is dual. And by that, what I mean is when you see the image of the brain, and most folks are familiar that the brain has the two hemispheres. But when we talk about specific pieces of the limbic system, I'm referring to each side of the brain has its own amygdala, thalamus, and they have to work together. In the study by The Frontiers of Psychology, published online July 9th, 2013, Eileen Luders, meditation affects the subiculum, which plays a key role in stress regulation, and meditation is an established form of stress reduction. That meditation affects different components of the limbic system that play a key role in stress regulation. Reducing worry over at the Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center, right here in North Carolina. Journal of Social, Cognitive, and Affective Neurosciences. Meditation beats anxiety, brain regions. The link here is in the PDF file. The anterior cingulate cortex controls thinking. The ventromedial prefrontal cortex controls worrying. So you got two little cortexes there. One controls thinking, one controls worrying. Meditation increases the activity to the areas that help you control worry and decreases activity in the thinking cortex. Improving sleep. Percentage of slow wave sleep was significantly higher, and the percentage of rapid eye movement sleep and the number of awakenings per hour were less. The sleep was refreshing, an increase in the feeling of good in the morning, and an overall increase in sleep duration. Now, this is the study we referred to in that Part 1, the The links are in the PDF file and is titled Positive Impact of Cyclic Meditation on Subsequent Sleep. I even added a picture to that one. Emotional eating problems. This is another area that many folks have to wrestle with. Mindfulness-based eating awareness training for binge eating disorders and related issues, basically emotional eating. Binge eating is marked by emotional, behavioral, and physiological dysregulation in relation to food intake. The components of yourself that regulate how you eat, eating smartly and wisely and things like that, get disengaged when you're emotional. Meditation was used to influence responses to varying emotional states, making conscious food choices, developing an awareness of hunger and satisfaction. Evidence supports the value of meditation in decreasing binge episodes, improving one's sense of self-control with regard to eating, and diminishing depressive symptoms. You'll find that study again at the National Library of Medicine, and the links here are in the PDF file. There are oceans of studies around the world of how meditation affects blood pressure, reduces migraines, improves relationships. How could it not? If you know yourself better, how could you not be in better relationships? Or at least head in that direction, or be able to recognize the ones you're in. So with this part, I'm going to finish with 3 questions. First, why isn't everybody doing it? How do I do it? How can I use it? As far as question 1, why isn't everybody doing it? Go to the first part of the 15 questions why not to meditate. A lot of the things I was looking for was the ability to stay firm and considerate even when things go sideways on me. It was the ability to develop an awareness and develop other pieces of myself that I could call on or back off when necessary. If you achieve this state or phase of self-awareness and you do a little bit better most of the time, then how do you keep heading in that direction? Most people try to get to a destination and stay there. Life isn't that way. How do you keep it? I know this may sound a little bit layman, but what happens to me is I often think about flossing my teeth. Whether you do or you don't, you're making progress. How do you keep it? You think of it like water. Too hard, too soft. Either way, when you're holding water in your hands, you got to have the right touch, the right mindset with the intent of holding water. All this comes together that in a practice of meditation, maintenance isn't complicated, but it is consistency that is so elusive. I read one time where Bruce Lee had said that long-term consistency trumps short-term intensity. I can tell you honestly that is true, particularly when it comes to life habits. How you train and how you practice matters. A few minutes every day is better than no minutes, or one day a week for an hour. Some of the things we've discussed in previous podcasts, like cutting through the chaos, can help and can really help you develop a strength about yourself so that you can be firm yet know which directions that you have leadway in as well. When I was going through, I had specific things that I wanted to improve upon. I wanted to have a sturdier version of myself that didn't react first, but could find a way to stay calm and respond appropriately. I wanted to be able to create opportunities with less worry about not succeeding, fear of failure. I wanted to invert that and become more concerned about not creating. As time went along, I also realized that I wanted to be a supportive figure for those who were close to me when others were going through the storms of life. It's not always pretty, and I didn't always look great going through the process, but I don't quit. Maybe a lot of things that I don't do well, but I do hang in there. As a little reminder, our Calm Water Mindful Meditation course, October the 9th, 2 weeks long, is partly online and partly with me. We'll be communicating. You'll get top priority from me through your emails, and also maybe we'll do a little FaceTime or Skype. Thank you again, Scott, for teaching me that. TibetanKungFu.net/calmwater. Then the 2 workshops, 1 hour long, September 23rd, October the 4th. That's at TibetanKungFu.net/mindful. Thank you a lot for listening to the podcast of Tibetan Kung Fu. I remind myself that I'm practiced to be a better person first and a better martial artist second.